Hey and welcome. Today I'm making another spread in that smaller sketchbook where I love to use the Distress inks because they work quite nicely on that paper. The sketchbook is the Canson Graduate Drawing Sketchbook and it has the A6 format. I'm starting my page with some black soot Distress Oxide ink and I just roughly blend the oxides onto the page. And just to bring in some grungy texture. I'm very sorry for my voice, but my throat is a little sick, I would say, and it's a bit hard to talk a lot at the moment. I'm using a small makeup brush to apply the ink, and I like to get some really rough marks this time, not a very smooth texture, because I want to create, as I said, a grungy kind of background. I decided to also use the oxide ink to make some wet splatters on the page, and I just pressed the ink pad onto my glass plate, add some water, and then I'm using a fern brush to create the splatters. For the next step, I pulled out our stars stencil. I want to stamp with the stencil onto my page. It's a really fun technique and I love using this for backgrounds. Also for card making, it's quite a nice technique. And also if you're using something like this over a colored surface. I inked the stencil with the Distress Oxide in black. Then I spritzed it with water and here I'm pressing it onto the page. And that gives you a really lovely pattern. It's not perfect, but it's very interesting. You have to experiment a little bit with the amount of water you are using, and sometimes it does not work out in the way you think it will. But I think that doesn't matter. It will always give you some interesting background textures. I add some extra water droplets with the spray bottle to bring in even more texture and grunginess, and I'm also using a brush and move around the ink in some areas. Once my page is dry, I add a little bit of stamping, and here I'm using a star stamp from our Mix It Up #4 stamp set. I think it's quite nice because I already have some stars on the page, so this fits the whole style, I would say. And I'm also using a border stamp from our Mix It Up #5 stamp set. I placed a piece of foam underneath the page because on the left I have already some other pages, which makes the book a bit bulky and then it's a bit harder to stamp. As always, I'm going to link up all the products I'm using in the video description, and there's also a link to the blog post where you can have a look at a close-up image. If you are enjoying the video, please give it a thumbs up and leave me a lovely comment. Of course, this page needs some color, and I have a few collage papers here which I have printed with a small jelly plate and acrylic paint without any pattern, just the colors. And I am now looking how I want to arrange some bits and pieces of these papers on this spread. I really like the combination of the turquoise green and pink together with the contrast black. And now I'm just playing around and I'm going to see what fits and what does not. Once I'm happy with the layout, I adhere the papers and I'm using the Tombow glue stick. As a focal image, I am using one of the Collage Fodder pieces I made in one of my recent videos. I used these quite a lot in the last few projects. And I decided to stamp that one to give it a little bit more interest and texture. I wanted to stay cohesive and I decided to use that stamp also around the page a few times. I'm now thinking about what to put at the bottom of my leaf. It must definitely be something small because the leaf is quite long. And I think about what title and where to put it. I decided to stamp a title with our A to Z letters, and I'm just spelling the word grow on my acrylic block, and then I'm going to stamp it directly to the spread. I wanted to write the words grow wild, and I also spelled wild with the letters, and I'm stamping it also directly to the left side of the spread. I picked the turquoise acrylic ink, which is a similar or the same color as the turquoise on my spread, and I'm creating some splatters on the page because I just thought some colorful splatters would match that whole spread nicely. To bring in a pop of color, I'm also using some neon pink acrylic ink. I am adhering the fern leaf with some craft glue, and I'm also adhering some words under the leaf, which I have already which I had already in my stash. These are embossed in white on black cardstock, and I'm adhering those under the leaf so it has something to sit on. To balance the page out, I think about adding something here at this corner, some little colorful spot maybe from these papers here. I decided to just cut a little flag from these papers. I'm using a die, but you can of course just cut this with a scissors, and I'm adhering it to the left top corner. And I think that brings in that green again and gives the whole spread a little more balance. I'm adhering that banner with a glue stick, and I also decided to pick the word free and adhere that on top of my banner. And I would say then my page is done. I really like how this turned out. I love the grunginess together with the colors, and I hope you enjoyed that video too, and I wish you a lovely weekend, and I hope you will see us next time. Bye.